Welcome back to How to Be a Better DM, the official podcast of Monsters.rent. I'm Justin Lewis.
And I'm Tanner Wayland.
And we are here to help you tell better stories for yourself and your players as you dungeon master sessions of D&D, Dungeons & Dragons. We'd like to give you some quick announcements. We actually have one before the show, and then after the show, if you want to stick around, we have some more announcements then as well. But first, let's talk about this. Tired of being alone? Are you tired of not having any of your players understand you? Are you tired of never truly belonging? Well, you're in luck. All you need to do is join the Guild. The Guild is a unique and exclusive experience that is only open to Dungeon Masters. It is a full community focused on helping ease your DMing burdens. Want to meet other DMs? Join the Guild. Want to discuss your homebrew ideas with people who would appreciate it instead of just telling your cat? Join the Guild. Want to find a place where all your wildest dreams will come true? Join the Guild. Go to monsters.rent/guild and sign up today for free. Wait, that can't be right. Chuck, can you check this again? Is this supposed to be... What? Oh, they're serious? It's free? Oh, okay. All right. Yes, go to monsters.rent/guild and sign up today for free, even though they are crazy for giving this away for free. Common side effects may include burping, sneezing, laughing, breathing, hearing, listening, tasting, farting, critting, sarcasm, and in extreme cases, explosive diarrhea. Awesome. With that out of the way, we can get into today's show. Suddenly, you hear a muffled grunt. You risk a glance away from your dark elf opponent and see Geriman go down. Enraged, you yell, "No!" and you rush the dark elf in front of you. He feints left, but you don't fall for it, choosing to rush him and lift him up, smashing him to the ground. You take advantage of the brief moment he lies stunned on the ground by sending a quick 1-2 punch to his head with your spiked gauntlets. After a moment, he lies still. You get up to run towards Geriman. You have a healing potion, so you should be able to save him. As you turn to look at your fallen companion, you stop in your tracks, the battle raging around you. Standing above Geriman's unconscious form is the drow elf who downed him. He looks at you and smiles, and then rams a sword into Geriman's chest. Geriman's eyes open briefly, and a sharp grunt escapes his lips, followed by a slow sigh that slowly fades into nothing. You don't remember what happened next. Instead, you come back to consciousness with a dead drow elf at your feet, torn into 2 parts. Next to the elf is the body of your slain friend, a slight trickle of blood escaping his unmoving lips, and his eyes staring up into nothing. What would you like to do? Welcome back to How to Be a Better DM. I'm your host, Justin Lewis, and together you and I will learn how to tell great stories as we DM sessions of D&D 5e. When getting a campaign started, you might have heard the benefits of starting with a session 0, but what is a session 0? Well, first I'll tell you what it's not. A session 0 is definitely not the session where you and all your friends get together to create your characters, and that's it. Some people define session 0 as the character creation session, but it specifically is not because you haven't played your characters yet, so it can't be considered a session. If you haven't played your characters, then it's not D&D. You're just making things up, which is fun, but it's not D&D. And it's totally fine, you can do that, but it's just not considered a session, so I wouldn't call it a session 0. And it might just be semantics, but I stick with my definition. A session 0 is essentially playtesting those characters that you just made. You can choose to include the entire party or just a few people here and there, but generally the story isn't that heavy, or at least it's introductory to the heavy. Some people like to combine the session 0 with their character creation, so they take an hour or so, get in their characters set up, and then dive right into a scenario with their characters to see if they like what they chose. But often, session 0 can just be, playing out a backstory of one or more of the characters. I like a session 0 as a nice way for the DM to playtest their players. It helps you understand how each one plays, and maybe one of the players doesn't really mesh with the table. Well, session 0 is a nice way to identify that and then nip it in the bud early on. A session 0 can essentially be seen as a warm-up for the entire campaign. It's a wonderful option for people who aren't really sure what they want for their character. And actually, I suppose you could even, start a session 0 at level 15 or 20 in the future and see what each character is like when they're fully maxed out. And then when you get back to the normal campaign, you just nerf them back down to level 0 and you go from there. It's a good way to help each player understand what they're really getting into, rather than just hitching their wagon to a character that they don't really like, But a couple things that you'll want to keep in mind for your session 0. Number 1, you don't want to overcomplicate things. Your players are just getting used to their characters and really seeing if this is the character they want to be with for the next 6 months to 22 years. Now that's an over-exaggeration. They don't want to have to worry about extremely difficult plot points right now. They just want to enjoy their character. Number 2 is you got to be patient. As I already said, your players are just learning their new characters. So some players will have an easier time than others. Some characters are inherently more difficult than others. Your job is to help all of them learn how to play their character, and more importantly, learn how to have fun playing their character. Number 3, help the characters meet each other or get into their relationship roles. One of the hardest parts of starting a new campaign is having your characters know or already trust each other, or helping them build that trust. Every adventuring party has to at least trust each other, and if they don't, then there's no reason for their characters to travel together. Well, I suppose you could come up with some, but I don't think that would last very long. So I suggest having the characters know at least one other character in the group as a friend or an acquaintance. That way there is inherent trust between a few of the characters, and the rest can be really worked out later. Number 4 is emphasize the fun. This is the most important part of your session 0 because it's also your players' way of testing you as the DM. They want to see what kind of DM you will be. Go all out. A session 0 may be your most important session because if you don't do it well, it might be your last. So if it's not fun enough to make your players come back, they won't. So do everything you can to make it just really fun. Don't make it complicated. Just, put your personality into it. Make sure that you're having a good time too, and your players will most likely as well. I hope these few suggestions helped you start to understand really how to set up your session 0 and also what it is. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions about the show, send us a message at How to Be a Better DM on Instagram, and we'd love to have a conversation with you and just kind of shoot the breeze. Lastly, if you want to play D&D with me or one of the other podcast hosts as your DM, then sign up for our monthly one-shot at this link, how-to-be-a-better-dm.captivate.fm/1-shot. Obviously, you can click the link in the show notes, which is infinitely easier than repeating what I just read to you on the internet. But this month, I am your DM, and actually here is a sneak peek into what you'll be playing. The grand city of Tornlock boasts a population of 100,000 citizens. From the Port District to the affluent Crown District, many call this city their home. In a city like this, though, many find themselves in less than fortunate circumstances. You and your companions find yourselves in an inn, sleeping, when a loud knocking on your doors awaken you. It's a member of the guard. He informs you that Lawmaster Sotan requires your immediate presence. After you and your companions prepare yourselves for the day, you follow the guard out of the inn and into a slightly overcast day. The guard leads you down the main streets, side roads, and eventually alleyways to a darker part of town. He leads you toward a small huddle of guardsmen in the center of an alleyway. As you approach, a head raises from the group and signals to you all a basic, if not taciturn, greeting. It's Lawmaster Sotan. You and your companions have worked with the ASMR on a few occasions, and your dealings had always been cordial and productive, if not flavorful. Good morning, adventurers. I apologize for the inconvenience at having to wake you at such an early hour, but I could not be helped. Please, inspect the grisly scene before us and tell me what insights you can glean. We'll talk more after you've had a chance to examine the corpse, Sotan says as he beckons you and your companions forward. The group of guards part, and you encounter one of the most grisly scenes of your life. A pastel purple tiefling lies on the ground, eyes open wide, staring silently into the gray sky. The body lies with arms and legs akimbo, tied to 4 posts stuck in the ground. A look of deep fear and consternation adorns the face, frozen in time forever. You also notice the tiefling's chest and belly are flayed open, revealing the internal organs of the once living tiefling. Blood has splattered all over the alleyway, and footprints of blood lead down the opposite side of the alley. You turn to Lawmaster Sotan to talk to him, but he interrupts and says, "This is the third victim exactly like this in 15 days. We need your help." So, if you want to sign up to play that specific one-shot, make sure you sign up at the link, and spots run out. It's a limited space only, but thanks for listening to today's show, my friends. Until next time, let's roll initiative. Thank you for listening to today's show. We really appreciate your support and your patronage. We have a few more announcements to go over. First,
did you ever fall in love with the library as a kid? It was a place where you could experience 1,000 stories without having to buy 1,000 books. That is what Monsters.Rent can do for your D&D campaign. You can rent and swap out as many quality miniature monsters and creatures for your D&D party as you could ever want, without having to buy them. You can rescue villagers from a kobold camp, or lead your party through the fighting forest, or many more adventures. We're coming out with new bundles all the time. Just sign up for our subscription to get access to your own personal library of minis. Go to monsters.rent to find out more. That's the website. monsters.rent. Get your library pass to a world of minis today.
we also wanted to let you know that today's episode is sponsored by Stardust and Dragons. I'm going to let one of the cast of Stardust and Dragons, Christian Hatcher, and his crew tell you a little bit more about it.
This August, a new adventure podcast is coming to a platform near you, filled with action,
Shoot one of the two of them. We can't keep taking hits like that.
drama,
Everything that she's been doing, everything she's going to do, finally sets in.
and stardust.
Help! Help! Someone, please!
Find out more about this epic odyssey at stardustanddragons.com, where adventure awaits in the stars.
That's all the announcements we have today. Again, thank you so much for everything you do for us. You make this show possible. Like we said before, we'll be back next week with another great episode, and until then, let's go ahead and roll initiative.